Nuclear war. That's a terrifying thought. That's the kind of thing horror adventure novels are about, not real life, right? Unfortunately, with today's nuclear technology, nuclear war is a possibility. But is it as big of a threat as some people make it out to be? Stay tuned to find the answer. Hi, welcome to Debate Talk with your host, Catherine Ward. Today's debate is on quite a serious matter. It's whether or not it's justifiable for the United States to act unilaterally to prevent nuclear proliferation. Okay, so that's a lot of big words. Basically, what it means is, should the United States be allowed to enter other countries without help or support from any other country to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons? We'll go over how nuclear weapons came to be and why they're an issue in the first place, the measures being taken to prevent the world from a nuclear war, and why the United States should not act unilaterally or use unilateral actions without a legal reason. Let's start out with how nuclear weapons became an issue in the first place. Japan. Nuclear technology really took off during World War II, but it became an issue when 2 bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan in August of 1945. After Japanese surrender, many people called for a ban on nuclear weapons to avoid a nuclear arms race. And according to NobelPrize.org, after this, both the United States and the Soviet Union declared that they were in favor of putting the atomic bomb under foolproof international control. Unfortunately, by the end of 1946, these preventative measures failed, and the Soviet Union started a secret nuclear weapons project to catch up to the United States. Now that we know why nukes are a problem, let's talk about the measures being taken to protect the world from them. International treaties are the biggest form of arms control that the world currently has, and the most widely accepted treaty is the NPT, or the Non-Proliferation Treaty. As said by NobelPrize.org, the NPT was created to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons, but it still allows for materials used for nuclear energy to be traded and used by the 59 countries that signed the treaty. In 1970, also according to NobelPrize.org, when the NPT came into action, it had 2 separate states open for signatures. When countries with nuclear weapons signed, they had to vow to never help other countries get materials for weapons or to help them produce nuclear weapons. They also had to start disarming and getting rid of their own weapons. Countries that signed that were already non-nuclear states had to vow to never try to make or obtain nuclear weapons. According to Non-Proliferation Move by Japan, the NPT is so widely accepted because it allows countries to still possess civil uranium and still be involved in the civil uranium trade as long as it's strictly for energy purposes. Treaties like this have done so much to regulate nuclear activity because it isn't just rules on a piece of paper. The NPT supplies the IAEA, or International Atomic Energy Agency, which regularly checks every nuclear facility run by a signed country to make sure they follow all the set safeguards. The regular inspections check for material accountability, physical security of the facility, and containment and surveillance of the nuclear materials. Another organization that actually cares about nuclear proliferation and has laws against it is, surprise, the United Nations. They also have rules and regulations against unilateral action, and according to the United Nations Charter, unilateral actions are only allowed if they are intended to produce legal effects, creating, modifying, safeguarding rights, obligations, or legal situations. Basically, that means that unilateral action is illegal unless it's used to uphold safeguards or to deal with unnecessary legal situations and involvements. Unfortunately for the United States, their unilateral actions do not accomplish anything that would make it legal in the UN Charter. While technically, yes, the US is upholding safeguards, it's not their job to uphold safeguards. And if a country were breaking international laws like they're required to be in order for unilateral action to be legal, the United Nations as a whole would be taking steps to disarm the opposing country. The United States are breaking laws when they invade countries on a whim, not to mention that it costs the US more money when we enter countries with nothing to show for it. According to Debate.org, when the US invaded Iraq in 2003, it led to an 8-year war with hundreds of thousands of casualties on both sides. A cost of $5 trillion, and the nuclear weapons we went in to find were never found. Phew! Now that I've overloaded you with facts against unilateral military strikes, let's welcome a special guest who will inform you of the good points. Yay! Clap, clap, clap!
Hello, I'm a very sciencey scientist, and I'm in favor of the pro side of this argument.
Okay. Why?
Well, first off, lateral military strikes take time, and if a country is an immediate threat, then there is no time to round up support.
True. But if a country was an immediate threat, then the United Nations would handle it, since it would be a matter of international security. And it still wouldn't be a job of the United States.
Okay, well, what about our position in the world? If we have the ability to help the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons, then why shouldn't we?
While, yes, we do have the ability to help this cause, more so than some other countries, it doesn't mean we should. The US is over $16 trillion in debt. And every time we take international matters into our own hands, we put ourselves farther in debt, which only heightens the regulations put on this country as a result of that debt. Shouldn't the well-being of this country be more important than anything else?
I see your point, but what about the countries that have nuclear weapons and haven't signed the NPT? Countries like India, Pakistan, and Israel have been proven to have nukes, but they aren't bound by safeguards since they haven't signed the NPT.
India, Pakistan, and Israel are members of the United Nations, so it doesn't matter if they've signed the NPT. They are still bound by laws in the UN Charter which prohibit them from doing illegal things involving nuclear weapons. Every country that is proven to have nuclear weapons is either a member of the United Nations or has signed the NPT, so nukes shouldn't even be a controversial topic in the first place since they're strictly monitored.
This conversation has been very enlightening. Thank you for having me on your fancy internet show.
You're very welcome, sciencey scientist. I guess this is as good of a time as any to end this debate. So tune in next week when we debate which is better, cats or dogs. It's totally cats, though.